Hey everyone, it's Eric from Strong Medicine. This video is going to be in the less than 1% of my content that's overtly political. So if you don't like me talking politics, just don't watch it. You don't need to leave a comment saying, I don't like you talking politics. It's totally not necessary. Over the last month, I've been spending many hours on what I anticipated would be an epic video covering the cognition of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the need for which seemed even greater after the infamous debate. The working title was, Do Trump and Biden Have Dementia? It was going to use our presidential candidates as case studies in a broader discussion of the features and diagnosis of dementia, including what can and can't be gleaned from video, and why it's ethical and appropriate for physicians to be discussing the cognitive health of our leaders, within reason. But as I was sitting down last weekend to edit this hour-plus video, and I was reviewing footage again and reading through transcripts of these men talking, I realized that none of this matters. Regardless of whether these men meet the formal medical definition of dementia is irrelevant when our common sense and common experience should be sufficient. Neither of them are fit to be president. Anyone who routinely interacts with the elderly can recognize the signs of cognitive impairment here. I can't tell you what the cause is with them, but whether it's their impairment is from dementia, delirium, psychiatric illness, malignant narcissism, medication side effects, or just normal aging, it doesn't change the fact that they are not up for this awesome and overwhelming responsibility. First, with Biden, there have been a lot of people in the last 2 weeks talking about whether he just had an off night at the debate and that he has times when he's really sharp during closed-door meetings, if, those meetings are held between the hours of 9 and 5. And that would be reassuring if Biden was an 81-year-old retiree whose days were spent sitting at the pool and playing bridge with his buddies. But if there's any job in the world that's 24/7, 365, it's the presidency. Biden's team has said that he's limiting events held after 8 p.m., and some people don't think it's apparently a big deal that Biden appears to suffer from sundowning. So what happens when the proverbial red phone in the White House rings at 3 a.m. because there's an imminent national security threat? Are his aides just going to schedule a meeting the following morning? I don't know what they're expecting to do. So many Democrats are in denial about this. I've seen on social media this week liberals trying to cancel other liberals with whom they might agree 99% of the time, but they're canceling them only because the person had the audacity to suggest that Biden should step down, or even just suggest that there should be an open discussion about it. It was not enough for these liberals and Democrats to just respectfully disagree or to unfollow the person. They had to block the person and then publicly boast that they had done so. This is an example of the kind of ideological purity bullshit that has driven our country's two parties so far apart. Here's a new observation I found interesting. Over the last decade, when it came to Trump, many of us, myself definitely included, have been perplexed as to how so many conservatives could watch countless videos of Trump and not see the sociopathy that felt so apparent and obvious to us. I wondered if conservatives were even watching the same videos. How could they have reached such a polar opposite conclusion on whether Trump has the necessary disposition to be president? Well, that's how many on the left are now seeing some Democrats' reaction to Biden. I am perplexed, among many others, how someone could see Biden's struggles and not recognize them for what they are. I watched videos of him, not just the debate, because it's possible for someone to have a random, one-off, horrific night for whatever reason. But there are plenty other videos and moments to choose from, like the subsequent interview he gave with George Stephanopoulos that was supposed to reassure America. I watch these interactions he has during interviews and during extemporaneous speech, even from the events that Democrats will cite as his good moments, and it is apparent to me that he is not cognitively well enough to lead this country. even on a regular day, let alone during a moment of acute crisis. Now, this is not me saying he has dementia. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. And I'm not casting any shade at the man. But I am saying he is 81. And even though you think your Aunt Bessie was sharp as a tack until she was 105, there are very, very few people Biden's age who are well enough to effectively lead an enterprise as large and complex as the United States' national government. If that person even exists, I have not personally met one. Now, as far as Trump is concerned, a lot of people are saying, why are people all talking about Biden? Why are people not talking about Trump? Well, to anyone who hasn't yet been convinced that the man is a pathological liar, malignant narcissist, misogynist, bigot, and a literal criminal who is wholly unfit to be a school board president, let alone our nation's president, if you're not yet convinced of that, there is nothing I or anyone else can say that will change that. And unlike Biden, there is no chance he will step down. So, to be honest, there's no point in saying more about him. Please don't mistake me saying neither man is fit for me saying that they are somehow equally bad candidates or that voting doesn't matter, because it matters more than ever. For example, if you aren't yet familiar with Project 2025, the Republican platform for remaking America into an authoritarian white Christian state, please Google it, because it's very real and very frightening. Or look at what the Supreme Court has done after Trump added 3 activist judges to the 2 ethically compromised ones already there. Remember that when you vote for the president, you are not just voting for one person. You're voting for their policy agenda and their entire administration. And you're voting for the military's Joint Chiefs of Staff. And as mentioned, for Supreme Court justices. And you're voting for scores of federal judges that we don't even normally think about, but who still have substantial influence on our lives. So your vote absolutely still matters. Nevertheless, even though I think the choice in November is still overwhelmingly clear, irrespective of whether Biden stays in it, it is infuriating to me that the ruling class has fostered a system in which this is the choice they are offering to us. And to anyone out there saying we can't replace Biden because we need to respect the will of the people who voted for him in the primary, that is disingenuous bullshit. You know it, and we know it. There was no choice for Democrats because party leaders would not tolerate serious opposition to an incumbent president, no matter the circumstances. And, Nikki Haley's relative success notwithstanding, the Republican Party acts the same way. The elders of both parties, they have stolen my generation's agency by refusing to cede power to the younger leaders with new ideas, and frankly, with more at stake because we have more time here on Earth to reap what has been sowed with their policy agenda. That there is even serious discussion occurring as to whether the 2 leading presidential candidates require dementia screening is fucking absurd. And, I'm sorry about the language, but, also not sorry because it is fucking absurd. The next 6 months are going to be rough for our country. There's no avoiding it. But what happens in the subsequent 4 years after that is up to us. Anyway, I know I've been a few weeks without a legit video. I hope to rework the dementia material I had created into an apolitical video on the condition because, politics aside, it's still a very important topic that I haven't covered here yet. But there's a few other medical topics ahead of it in the pipeline.